Here is how I built the 1/16 scale barber chair for my Old West barber shop. You can find the link for the free download in the description. I cut it with my cutting machine, but it can be cut by hand too. It took a little over 1 sheet of cardstock to cut all of the pieces out. All of the pieces except the sides and cushions are 1/6 of an inch thick. With my heavy cardstock, that was equal to 4 layers. The sides are 1/8 of an inch thick, so that was equal to 8 layers each side. You could also use cereal box, probably even chipboard. I am using Elmers Glue All to attach the pieces. There is a couple of places I used Aleene's Fast Grab Tacky glue, but that's optional. Once all of the layers of my pieces are glued together, I'm ready to start assembling the chair. The first thing I did was soften all of the edges by sanding. On the seat though, I did not sand the top edge of the front bar and the back bar. These are the only notches that I worked into my pattern, and I did that because it made it really easy to place the front bar and the back bar right where they needed to be. The front bar is wider than the back bar, so be careful not to get those two mixed up. And just to remind you, I'm using Elmer's Glue All to attach all of the pieces together. Also, gently make sure that the tabs are pushed in all the way. The seat part of the chair, we won't need the cushions right now, but I have already glued together 2 pieces of the seat and 2 of the overlay pieces together to give it a total of 4 pieces. Or I should say 4 layers altogether, so it's 2 of the seat and 2 of the overlay. Here I'm gluing the seat onto the chair base. It's probably okay, but I didn't like on each side where the seat attaches to the chair that there's like a little gap. I don't want that to be a weakness. I didn't know any way to correct it. So here I'm just cutting some cardstock that is the same width as that area, and then I'm just going to fold it in half and glue it to be kind of like a little brace. I made one for the other side too. The chair felt pretty sturdy without the braces, but I felt better putting them in. For the back portion of the chair, I glued again like the seat. I have 2 layers of the main piece and 2 layers of the overlay. Even though that worked out okay with those 4 layers, if I was to make this chair again, I would definitely probably use 4 of the main piece, maybe even 5, and 2 of the overlay. The little marks that I'm making are to let me know where to put the glue. I didn't want a big glue mess. When you're gluing the back on, it's up to you how you want to position it. You can't do it wrong. You may want yours to be straight up and down, or you may want it to have a slight incline. It's really up to you. I chose to give it a slight incline. I also chose not to make this an operational chair. I'm not sure what to call this piece. I guess you would call it a pedestal, the pedestal stand. They look the same, but one has an opening at the top going down and the other one has it the other direction. That way it's easy just to assemble the stand by sliding the pieces down over each other. Even though they were a really snug fit, I still used glue. Once they were glued, I also pinched the top and the bottom and held it just for a little bit to make sure they made good contact. I actually created the stand quite a while ago, right before I started my channel, and I still haven't used it, so this will be the first time I'm actually using it. I knew it would probably be a good idea to have a larger surface that glues onto the chair, so I cut out this circle and I'm going to glue it to the top of the pedestal. I think I should mention right now before I get too far along, I didn't do it, but I wish I would have. I highly recommend painting the base and the chair before you glue them together. Since I glued those little brackets on each side under the chair, I needed to fill in that space in between them, and that gives more surface for the glue to catch, because otherwise the glue won't be able to make contact. I cut a piece of cardstock that was very similar to that shape and glued it in place. I have 2 options for you with the footrest. This first footrest is like what you see in a lot of the vintage pictures. It is actually 2 pieces. I think when you sit down in a chair, your feet are on this first part first, maybe when they lean you back or you're starting to get a shave or something, then you would put your feet, or maybe it catches the back of your calves. I use the Fast Grab Tacky glue just right here on these little brackets for that other part of the footrest, just because they were so small and I knew it would catch hold really quick. Once I have that footrest assembled and I know it's dry, I'm going to glue it to what I call the leg rest. First, let me give you a really good look at this piece while I'm waiting for that glue to dry. Also, let me show you, this is the first option with this footrest. But if you don't want to mess with all of that, all those little pieces, then here is option number 2. Just glue the footrest without the brackets to the leg rest. I would also suggest, like I did for the pedestal, to paint this footrest and leg rest before you glue it onto the chair. Since I added the brackets under the chair, this leg rest piece fit really snug, so I had to sand it a little bit to make it fit. And when it comes time to attach your pedestal, don't have one leg facing out towards the front. Put 2 legs off to each side, like so. When you go to glue the footrest in place under the chair, you can decide, like we did with the back, if you want it to be straight up or a slight angle. My chair is completely glued and assembled here, but remember, you will want to paint yours before assembling it. It will be much easier, believe me. Now it's time to assemble all of the cushion pieces. For all of the cushion pieces, I did 2 layers of each size, but you can use more if you choose to. And this is how all of the cushions look assembled. There are 3 sizes for each of the cushions. I sand all of the sides of the cushions so that you don't notice all of the pieces and it's just smooth, like one piece. If you're not into all of that sanding, you can finish the cushions off whichever way you like best. And then I seal the chair with Mod Podge. This next part works for me sometimes and sometimes not. I water down some paper clay. I put it into one of my little squeeze bottles, but my problem is I don't make it thin enough, I think. Glue would possibly work too. I want my chair to have a wood tone, so the first thing I'm going to do is paint it all with a light tan. And then I will make a wash with the brown paint and water, give the chair a coat of that. And if it doesn't look dark enough, you can go over it in the spots that need it. I took a piece of copy paper and I'm scrunching it up over and over again to get a bunch of wrinkles in it. And then I'm going to glue it to each one of the cushion pieces. And I'm hoping that this will give it the look of leather. Once I have all of the pieces covered with the paper, I'm going to cut it away from the paper pretty close to the cushion and leaving maybe 1/8 of an inch, and then I cut little notches into it to make it easy for turning it. Like I said before, you may want to finish your cushions off differently using fabric and batting. If you choose to do it that way, you don't really need to layer up the cushions like I did. I painted all of the cushions with a layer of Mod Podge, and then I took a mixture of black paint and raw umber. Then I painted that over the Mod Podge. I think it gives it that old leather appearance. For the arms and the extended footrest, I painted a piece of paper like I did the cushions, and I wrapped it around the footrest and the arms. I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. And I hope if you have a barber shop that you need to make, or maybe even a dentist chair, I hope you'll give it a try. And be sure to let me know how it turns out for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.